Before I could even utter a word, they branded me guilty. My name is Evelyn. I was 25 when they tore apart everything I loved. I lived in a stone cottage near Butterfly Bridge, married to Kasia. He'd gone north for 3 weeks, trading horses and goods for coins and supplies. At night, the silence grew unsettling, too heavy, too still. Then one morning, before the frost set in, a woodcutter appeared at my door. He was courteous, dropping off firewood and asking to borrow a bucket for the well. I shared a loaf of bread with him. That simple kindness became my so-called sin. The widow next door saw him leave and hurried to the village elders, claiming I had entertained a man while my husband was away. By sunset, I was summoned before them, condemned before I could speak. They didn't allow me to dress. 2 guards arrived, faces hidden under hoods. They bound my wrists like I was a thief and dragged me through the mud-soaked streets. Candlelight flickered behind shutters. Faces appeared in windows. Some covered their children's eyes. Others whispered prayers, pretending not to stare. I prayed to wake up, to feel Kasia's warm hand on my shoulder, to hear him whisper it was just a nightmare. But salvation never came. They took me beneath the chapel where the air was colder than stone, carrying the taste of iron and unspoken sins. I remember my shoes clattering on the steps, sharp, echoing my last steps of freedom. The chamber had no windows, just a single torch flickering against the wall, illuminating hooks, chains, and clawed tools of torment. Among them was something they called the breast ripper. At first I thought it was one of Kasia's blacksmith tools, but when I saw the fanged, curved edges, I realized it was made for women, not metal. The torturer stood waiting, a broad man, his neck and arms mapped with scars, as if pain had once tried to claim him and failed. He said nothing while the priest began his scripture, murmuring about purity, Eve, and temptation. Their words blurred, but I remember one clearly. Her body must tell the truth. After that, I heard nothing else. They bound my hands above me. The rope bit into my skin. My gown was pulled tight. My chest bared to the cold and the judgment of men who saw me only as proof of their righteousness. The torturer stepped forward, the iron claws gleaming in his hands. I couldn't breathe. My knees weakened. Without the ropes, I would have collapsed. Confess, he demanded. Tell me his name. Tell me what you did. I did nothing, I whispered. Nothing. He lifted the device. The metal felt cold even before it touched me. My heart pounded so loud it echoed in my ears like a drum announcing my doom. He pressed the claws to my skin, not deep, just enough to promise agony. I screamed, not from the pain, but from the terror of what was coming next. Then he closed it. The iron bit into me like a wild beast tearing flesh. At first I couldn't even scream. The shock stole my breath. My whole body seized. Fire roared beneath my skin, not burning it, but consuming me from within. He pulled once, slow and deliberate. That's when the scream escaped, raw and inhuman, bouncing off the stone walls like a spirit breaking free. The tears came then, and they never stopped. He finally released his grip and stared, waiting. Speak, he ordered. But I couldn't, not a word. Not even a breath escaped me. My head swam and the taste of iron filled my mouth. Tears slid down my cheeks, mingling with sweat. Tears born not only from pain but from shame, from the horror of being stripped of humanity. He pressed the claws against the other side. Every muscle in my body locked. I begged them to stop, to end it, but mercy was not a word known to men who wielded iron. The second rip came, and all I remember was light, a blinding white bursting behind my eyes, and the sound of my voice strangling itself into silence. When I opened my eyes again, I was on the floor. Blood soaked the front of my shift. My wrists were still bound. The torturer was gone. The priest stood above me, murmuring scripture from a book that had long since lost its meaning. They told me later that I confessed. They said I spoke a name, though I knew no one. They swore I admitted to temptation, though I had never touched any man but my husband. It didn't matter. My body became their evidence. My wounds became their truth. They left me in that stone cell for 3 days, no medicine, no bandages. Only a thin cloth for modesty and a bucket of water I was too weak to lift. I never cried again. I had no tears left to give. When they released me, I was no longer Evelyn. As if the scars were not punishment enough, they burned a mark just below my collarbone. Iron pressed into flesh, a symbol to remind everyone who I was. A warning carved into my skin so no one could ever pretend I'd been beautiful. My husband never came home. They said he died on the road, but deep down I believe they told him everything, that they made him see what his wife had become. Look, they must have said, see what she was, see what we were forced to do. Now I live alone, deep in the forest in the ruins of an old hunting lodge. The villagers keep their distance, whispering that I am cursed. Some say I went mad. Perhaps they're right, but I listen. And when the gossip starts again about another woman too bold, too free, I feel that old ache rise inside me. The pain never truly fades, not the scars on the skin or the ones that live deeper. Sometimes young girls find their way to me, their eyes wide with fear and wonder. They ask, what happened to you? I never answer right away. I wait. Then I pull at the top of my gown, just enough. They gasp, some look away, others begin to cry, and I tell them, this is what they do when a woman stays silent. This is what they do when she dares to speak. This is what they do when you are called a sinner, or simply when you are born a woman. I did not die that day.